Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Superheroes, Movies, and Superhero Movies. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzo.
Today we're going to be talking about Independence Day, released in 1996, directed by Roland Emmerich, written by Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, and starring Will Smith, Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum, Judd Hirsch, Randy Quaid, Vivica A. Fox, Mary McDonnell, Margaret Collin, James Rebhorn, Adam Baldwin, Brent Spiner.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
You know what? I found that out today.
Really? Did you not recognize him in the movie?
No.
Oh, wow.
Which doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's he looks completely different.
Right.
Yeah, so I was like, but I thought I was curious what else he had done. And then I looked and I was like, oh. Okay.
Oh, just Star Trek The Next Generation.
Just Data?
Right, he's just Data. So, we're going to be talking about the whole movie of Independence Day. So if you haven't seen it, obviously you might want to turn this off because we're going to be spoiling it. Also, just a note, there's fireworks going off right now because it is actually almost Independence Day. And so I apologize.
I've got 3 minutes left.
I've got 3 hours left. But but their fireworks are going off right outside.
I'll say this. Was it 20? Yeah, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I was watching this movie in the theater.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you saw it on July 4th or July 3rd?
July 3rd.
July 3rd.
Because I remember thinking when we were sitting in the theater, the very first thing you see is July 2nd.
Yeah.
And I remember my first thoughts, like, seeing that were, oh, that was yesterday. And then July 3rd came out, I was like, oh, this is today. And then, of course, July 4th. Oh, that's tomorrow.
I definitely did see this in the theater as well, but I don't... I think I saw it opening weekend, but honestly, I don't remember if I saw it July 3rd or what. So, I also thought it was kind of a mistake, I guess, to release the new one. They released it, last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that? It should have come out on July 1st, this past Friday. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball there on that one.
Yeah.
But maybe they didn't want to... I mean, nothing really came out. I mean, Tarzan came out this week, and anyway, it doesn't matter. I was like, maybe they were worried about competition, but...
I think, this actually came out on July 3rd.
Yeah.
20 years to the day. So I guess I saw it opening day, which kind of shocks me, but...
Yeah.
But I was really excited for this movie. This was... I don't remember if it was for most people, but I remember... this was a big one for me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it even delivered more than I expected, like way more.
I was incredibly excited for this film. And I was eating up. I remember this was the beginning of the internet for me, I remember 1995-ish was when we first kind of got AOL.
Yeah.
And I remember going to their website, I guess, Independence Day's website, and just watching the TV spots and all the videos that they had on their website. Like, probably took me forever to have those 30-second spots load so that I could watch them. But I remember just loving it. It was something I had never seen before. We had seen, alien movies and stuff, but the landmarks getting blown up, seeing the White House explode and everything, and then there was also some great marketing with the film where there was a couple of TV spots. I thought it was in the trailer, but I think it was in the TV spots, where they were playing REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It, which plays in the very beginning of the film.
Uh-huh.
But whoever came up with that idea to do that in the commercials, I thought was great, because you saw, Will Smith punching the alien, and you saw the White House blowing up and everything, and you just heard It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I was like, that's perfect. But this movie obviously just appealed to me as a 13-year-old kid.
They showed Will Smith punching the alien in the TV spots and stuff?
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just that was just what came to mind when I was thinking of the
I gotcha.
TV spot.
Because
It was probably more like Will Smith flying the spaceship or something. I don't know. Or flying his fighter jet.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to like throw you under the bus.
Call me out there. Yeah, thanks a lot.
I was just like, that kind of shocks me because that was kind of for me.
reveal.
I felt like that was kind of something that when they showed it, I was like, it was that thing one of the things they'd been holding back.
Right. I don't think. I think you're right. I don't think they showed the aliens in the previews. They might.
I remember them showing the White House getting blown up and stuff. So you knew that when these ships got over certain landmarks, that they were going to blow them up.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much, I think, what I remember taking from all the previews and stuff beforehand.
That was That was like most of the marketing, probably.
Yeah,
was the blowing up of the landmarks,
which was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had never seen anything like this before,
right?
And I don't think Roland Emmerich has really done anything.
He's made quite a few movies, but nothing.
I'm saying that I enjoy,
right?
Since
there was Godzilla, 1998.
Which this movie is why he...
Yes, of course.
...did that.
Yeah, I don't think... If this movie hadn't come out or hadn't done as well, I don't think he would have ever made Godzilla, but maybe that would have been a good thing. But no, Roland Emmerich, he made Stargate before this movie, and I really liked Stargate when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in years. And then he made this, and this did really well, and I love this movie.
Yeah, this movie...
And then after that, he just kind of had dud after dud, it seems like.
I did not know he did The Patriot.
That's true. He did do The Patriot. I
really
forgot about
liked
that.
The Patriot.
Yeah, The Patriot was good. I'll give you that. I forgot about that one. That doesn't really seem like a Roland Emmerich film. And maybe that's why I forgot that he directed it.
Did he direct it? Yeah, he did direct it. Okay, yeah. I was looking, I was like, oh, I'm under producer, but... yeah, I remember every time I see that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forget that he did that one. Because it doesn't feel like one at all.
Right. I mean, when the rest of your resume is Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, but actually, Patriot was before that, so all he really had at that point was Independence Day and Godzilla that were like those,
That's true.
When we were watching this, and we were watching actually another movie to do, and I was like, I actually think that the movie we were going to do would be better commentary, maybe. So we might try that. But I was kind of thinking the same thing when watching this. I was like, I almost want to do a commentary with Independence Day, just because it's one of those movies where you've seen so many times, at least for me, where I'm like, I could talk while watching this and be comfortable with that. I remembered the movie pretty well, but it had been a long time since I had actually watched the whole thing. Oh yeah. I found that out later on when they started like seeing all the aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember that at all. And that whole thing, and then it finally kind of started, I started remembering, but still, I had completely forgotten that they showed any more of the aliens besides the one that Will Smith pulled out of the spacecraft, and then the one that they, when they actually open him and you see what the alien actually is.
Yeah.
I was thinking that those were the only times you had seen that, and there was so much more. Not a whole lot more, but, like they show the shots of them standing almost in the organized, groups of, which I don't even think I ever had noticed that before when they had the troops inside the mothership.
Yeah.
Like, I think I never really picked up on it because it's kind of a dark shot.
Right.
And they're so far away that if you don't, and being younger... Yeah, I don't think I was really thinking about it because I'm just in awe of this being inside this spaceship, which you had never seen anything like this except in comparison the Star Destroyers. which we had never really seen inside of, and you got to see us. Granted, I had never seen Star Trek before, so I go back and watch Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Right.
And they're on shots of ships for so long
right.
that I'm like, okay, that's about the scale that this was.
Yeah.
Because I had never seen that before. So,
well, that mothership that they fly into is huge. I mean, think about all the spaceships that came off of it and went to the cities. Those are all 15 miles wide, and
right.
And they looked small on that big mothership.
Exactly.
So, I think they tell you how big it is in the beginning of the movie, but I don't remember exactly.
They might have the mothership. I do remember the 15-mile long, like baby ones,
right?
Which it's crazy to call those baby ships,
right?
But I felt like they should have done something a little bit more with showing the scale of the mothership.
Yeah, I agree.
Because really, and maybe it was like. No, I don't think it was. I mean, the CGI is not bad in this movie. Like, speaking of the ships hovering over the cities and stuff, those look good.
Yeah.
You have, like the explosions and stuff running. You can tell, like, green screen and stuff with this. Right. This is a very 90s movie.
It's the effects were great back then.
Yeah.
I don't. As a kid seeing it in the theater, I remember having no problems with the effects.
Right.
Watching it now, the effects are still. I try to put myself in the mindset of watching it in the 90s, and I think the effects are still good. They're just a little dated watching them now.
Right.
The fire, the scene with the dog, jumping.
Yeah,
out.
it's a lot of it's the fire and the explosions.
Right.
And I think if I
some
remember,
of the fighter pilot stuff too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the beams that the alien spaceships shoot. I think
right.
A little bit, but as far as the massive scale of the ships themselves, over the city and stuff,
those look great.
Yeah, I think that looked pretty realistic and dead on even today. But yeah, the mothership, I would have liked to have seen. They try a little bit with that triangle door that opens, and then you see the ship going. But I think they should have. I think they missed an opportunity to really show how big that mothership is, because that thing is gigantic.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you there.
With Independence Day Resurgence, I'm anxious to see, especially what is to come with, because I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either yet.
With this universe, and I'm now seeing that they've announced Independence Day 3.
Oh, really?
So, and he is going to be directing that as well.
Not surprising.
At least it's announced. So
I've heard Independence Day Resurgence has gotten bad reviews. Not that necessarily means anything, because we all know Batman vs Superman got bad reviews, and I love that movie. But one of my friends on Instagram posted something about it and said that for the first 2/3 of the film, he was like, "This movie's awesome. I don't understand why it's getting such bad reviews." And then he said, and then the last third of the film, I was like, "Oh." So I'm guessing there's something that happens, in
that sounds like Roland Emmerich.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly. I do want to see it. And now that I've rewatched the first one, I definitely want to go see it. But yeah, I'm a little nervous about seeing it because I have a feeling it's not going to be it's not going to be very good. But yeah. I don't know.
I was a little worried about that. I mean, technically, this movie shouldn't have been. And I think because it was in the 90s, it just fit really perfectly as a 90s movie. Mm-hmm. And I mean, of course, it would have been directed differently and stuff by now, or right. And today, and that's kind of what Resurgence presumably is.
I do wonder too if audiences have changed a little bit.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Not necessarily if Independence Day 1 had come out in 2016, would people still like it? It's hard to say, but I did read an article about how we have the original Independence Day to blame for the amount of destruction in movies nowadays. And I think it's just mainly because Independence Day really kind of upped the ante on destruction, I guess you could say. We talked about before, up until then, I don't think many movies, if any movies, completely destroyed all the landmarks in one single film like that,
Right. Movies maybe like War of the Worlds and stuff, but I haven't seen the original, and it had been a long time since that was done, and not to the scale and technology that they had at the time. So yeah, it was something new, and I agree with that statement. This showed, hey, you saw Jurassic Park. Look what we can do now.
Right.
We're literally blowing up everything, and it looks real.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, at least. But
I remember being a little disappointed seeing it in the theater because in all the previews, when you saw the White House blow up, it was just the White House blowing up. And then when you saw the movie, there's a helicopter in front of the White House that also gets blown up. Mm-hmm. And I remember being disappointed selfishly. I didn't care at all about the characters on that helicopter, apparently, because I just remember being like, oh, it's blocking my view of the White House getting blown up.
Nice. I'm curious, since I haven't seen Resurgence, if maybe people are mad about the plot twist. Maybe there's a plot twist where these helicopters then went, and the welcome helicopters.
The welcome wagons?
The welcome wagons. The ships, the alien ships were actually here trying to be friendly. And the welcome wagons, whatever they did with those signals was very offensive or whatever to the aliens. They were push the button.
The aliens are what did they just say to us?
Push the button now. We are blowing these guys up. And that started the destruction of mankind.
Right. So it was really our fault.
Yeah.
That theory might work if it wasn't for the whole countdown thing that Jeff Goldblum was figuring out in the beginning of the film.
True. Well, see, that could have been a big party they were about to throw. Hey, we found you, finally. We've been looking for people for...
Surprise!
There is life.
I wonder if maybe, it goes back even farther than that. And the aliens from Area 51 were actually coming to say hello and be like, what's up, guys? And then we took them and put them in Area 51 and started cutting them open. And so then the aliens back home were like, well, that's it. We got to kill them all.
Yeah. Yeah. They said they were able to send back a signal. They're like, avenge us.
Right.
Speaking of Area 51, I actually have that down as one of my notes, where Judd Hirsch is talking about, he's like, yeah, you found the ship back in the 50s. What was it? Area whatever. And they're like, and the president's like, there's no Area 51, I assure you. And then was it the Secretary of Defense, I think, is who?
I believe so. James Rebhorn, yeah. I think
so. Was playing. And he's like, actually, sir, that's not entirely true.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you guys are seeing all of this stuff happen. These spaceships flying over, and you didn't once think to say, Mr. President, by the way, Area 51 is real. We might want to go there and see what they have to say about this.
Right.
So after the aliens have blown up everything,
yeah,
the Secretary of Defense is like, Area 51 actually was real. We might want to go now and see what they have to say.
And to the film's credit, Robert Loggia's character, who's the general, calls him out on that. But I do like the idea of his character, the Secretary of Defense, seeing all the alien spaceships showing up and going, well, let's just wait and see. Maybe they're friendly. Even though he knows about Area 51.
Right.
Be like, well, sir, what about Area 51? No, we'll just see. We'll see.
I didn't pick up on the calling him out, so I missed that part.
Well, you know what? I watched the special edition, which had not much more footage, but it was 9 minutes more than the theatrical version.
Gotcha.
So there's a couple of scenes I noticed that were different, and that might be one of them. If you didn't, I don't know if you watched the theatrical version, but
I had to get up a few times, so I might have missed it, or maybe for the you said the theatrical version is longer.
No, the special edition is
Special edition.
longer.
Maybe so.
Which is what
For the special edition, they're like, people are going to think that, so we need to have him
Right.
saying, "How dare
Just
you?"
throw that back in there. There's a couple of added scenes, but nothing major, really.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, the Secretary of Defense is always trying to stop them from. He's like, "Oh, it'll never work. We don't have the manpower and all this stuff." And then they're like, "Well, we can do this." And he's like arguing against that. After about the third time, and the president's in the room here too, I'd be like, "Are you working with the aliens? Because you sure do seem like you're trying to shoot down every idea we have."
He's basically just sitting there going, "Please don't say anything about Area 51. Please don't say anything about Area 51." So he's just trying to distract them. But I do like how,
this was actually in Area 51.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
So that idea is blown.
Yeah.
I remember in the beginning when they're in the Oval Office, I think it's the Oval Office, the president says, he's like, maybe we should go to DEFCON 3. And he's like, great idea. Let's go to DEFCON 3. Tell this guy, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's in the beginning. It's like right when they, it might even be before the spaceships even show up on Earth, but they're aware of the mothership. The president's just kind of saying things out loud, like just trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, maybe we should go to DEFCON 3. And he just jumps on it. He's like, that's a great idea. Tell so-and-so we're going to DEFCON 3. And everybody's like, whoa, wait a second. He's just like which maybe was an insight to him knowing about the aliens, Maybe he was like...
I don't remember that part either. Like,
oh, well, maybe that was also a special edition scene.
Well, I doubt it. I mean, it could be, but, like, this movie, even watching it now, and it being dated, just the nostalgia watching it, I'm always, like, on the edge of my seat during the beginning of this movie because, like, the aliens are coming in. So, I might be missing a lot of stuff. That I'm just like sitting there thinking, the aliens are coming. The aliens are coming.
Your mind is kind of wandering a little bit about it. Yeah. I get that. Let's talk about some of the characters. Let's start off with the president, played by Bill Pullman.
Yeah, awesome job. I feel like when you watch his performance, you're like, this guy is not... Like, he's got some acting issues.
Mm-hmm.
But he plays this character so well that it's like perfect,
right?
Especially and then when you get to the speech and the way he just delivers the speech and stuff, you do have a little bit of the '90s cheese in it, But
I remember my dad after we saw that movie in the theater. My dad said that was probably the greatest cinematic presidential speech he had ever heard.
Yeah. Oh, it's still really good. You don't get the cheese until after the speech, and then it shows like the shot of him like standing there, basically with his hands on his hips, like, "All right, that was a good speech.
Soak it in. Now let's go kill some aliens." So, a bit of trivia about the president character, President Whitmore, I guess is his name. And I don't know if this is true, but this is on IMDb's trivia page. Apparently, the role was originally written for Kevin Spacey, who was a friend of Dean Devlin, who's the co-writer. But an executive at Fox, and I don't know if this is true, because when did Seven come out? 95?
No, I think it was 97.
Oh, all right. So maybe this is true. It said an executive at Fox refused to cast Spacey, insisting he didn't have the potential to be a big star. Which I think is funny. Yeah.
Let's see. No, you're right. Seven was 95.
So Seven had come out when they were probably shooting this movie. Or maybe it was about to come out. I don't know when in 95 it came out.
Yeah, but I feel like they used Kevin Spacey, and I didn't see Seven for several years later.
Yeah.
After American Beauty had come out.
Right.
And that came out in 99. But I felt like...
Usual Suspects also came out in 95, and he won an Oscar for that.
True. Oh, interesting.
So I don't know how true that story is, but I like the idea of it.
I was going to say, though, like in Seven, I feel like they picked Kevin Spacey as a like he was a surprise, like
right.
as far as the actor who was playing him. And what was funny is I don't think I had seen any other Kevin Spacey movies besides American Beauty, which I was really obsessed with. Like the first time I watched it, I just loved that movie.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites. But and I remember watching Seven with you, and that might have been the second Kevin Spacey movie I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, the first time I heard him talking to him on the phone, I was like, "Is that Kevin Spacey?"
Yeah,
and you were like, "Good call."
Yeah, they definitely. He wasn't as big of a star yet. I don't know if he had won his. Obviously, Usual Suspects and Seven obviously came out the same year, so he hadn't won the Oscar yet. But I guess he was enough of a name that they didn't want to ruin the surprise. Because I remember his name, not to go off and talk about Seven, but his name's not in the opening credits.
Gotcha, yeah.
But nowadays, if you watch it, everybody knows who Kevin Spacey is. Now you can recognize his voice probably.
Right.
Like you
did. His voice is very recognizable.
And hear it on the phone.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what the first Kevin Spacey movie was. I don't know what the first Kevin Spacey movie was I saw, but I do think I saw Usual Suspects before I saw Seven.
Uh-huh.
And I love Usual Suspects.
I saw Usual Suspects late. In fact, the twist
been ruined.
It was ruined. Thanks to my coworker. But it's okay.
We should do an that's not. It's like I don't know if when we'll ever get around to Usual Suspects, but we should do an episode on that because there's some good stories about that movie that I've heard from the writer Christopher McQuarrie.
Okay.
But anyway,
I've only seen it once.
So what?
I've only seen Usual Suspects once.
Oh well, that's a good one to revisit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Kevin Spacey was supposedly the first choice for the president role. Will Smith. This was, I don't know if it was the movie that made Will Smith a star or a movie star. He was already kind of a star with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but this was at the end of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it was before Men in Black, right?
It was because Men in Black came out in 97, I think.
Right. So this was one of his first big movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it Bad Boys.
That's true. He had Bad Boys before that.
Yeah, but yeah, I think definitely he was not. I'd say most people didn't know who he was still at this point.
Mm-hmm. And then after this movie, I think it really everybody started to know who Will Smith was.
Yeah.
Watching it today, though, I feel like his acting is not bad, but it's just a little over the top.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of the way he was when he started out.
Yeah.
Men in Black and stuff, which made, characters like Jay and stuff. And,
right.
And then you had movies come out later like Wild Wild West.
Right.
But Legend of Bagger Vance starts getting serious.
Right. Starts going towards the drama.
Yeah. Which that movie's great.
I've never actually seen that movie.
Really? That shocks me. That movie is really good. And it's got Matt Damon in it, so...
That's how you know it's good. I
liked his character. Apparently he's dead now in the universe, in the Independence Day universe.
Yeah, when he didn't want to come back for part 2, they did... It's not in the movie, but they did some sort of kind of promotional, video online, and it was like the death of Captain Hiller or something like that.
Gotcha.
I guess his son... And I don't know if it's this... I don't think it's the same character from the first movie, the little boy.
Right.
But I think his son is in the new movie. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what it is.
Huh. And they did what? Now, why did he not want to do the movie, or was it scheduling conflicts? Do you know?
I don't know for sure, but I think it was because he didn't want to do it.
Gotcha. Interesting. Because, I mean, he did have Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Which maybe he was shooting that. Maybe there was there was a scheduling conflict there.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't pump out a whole lot of movies. So I don't know if he's gotten choosier now that he's getting older. He's not old, but you know what I mean.
Oh, he's so old.
He's so old. He did Concussion last year, but he doesn't really pump out a movie a year even. I think before Men in Black 3, there was like a 4-year period where he hadn't put out a movie.
Yeah, I would imagine he's probably starting to enjoy some of that money he's made. 'Cause my goodness, he's got to be so loaded, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because, when he made this movie, like we were saying, he was still trying to get people's attention, technically. Mm-hmm. Of course, you had Jeff Goldblum.
I love Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, my goodness. It just, yes, he's so great, and that's really my one of the main excitements of me wanting to see Resurgence is just to see Jeff Goldblum.
Just to have more Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his chemistry with Judd Hirsch,
it's quite good.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I really like Jeff Goldblum in this movie, and I actually really like Randy Quaid in this movie.
Randy Quaid is pretty good in this. The sacrificial thing is a little in your face.
Yeah, and he's a little over the top with those lines.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still like it.
Yeah, it's more for nostalgia for me, I think.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think if I were to see that today, I'd be like, eh.
Okay, we get it.
But yeah, like, his playing the drunk guy, and I liked him too. He's apparently having some
issues,
hard times right now in life.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he hasn't put out any movies either, really, I don't think. Not that I know of anyway, because he's been up in Canada for so long.
Yeah, I think he's kind of just staying away from things for a while.
But one of my questions about this film with Randy Quaid's character is his son has like an illness. And I don't know. I was trying to figure out the reason for that character to have that illness. Because he talks about having to take medicine. Now he doesn't want to take medicine anymore. And then on their way to the base, before they meet Will Smith's character, they have to pull over so the kid can like throw up. And then when in the special edition, which is this was a scene I knew was new. It's not in the theatrical version. In the special edition, when they get to the Air Force Base, or Area 51 actually, I guess, he's like calling for a doctor. He's like, somebody has to help my son. And nobody's really listening to him because they're all preoccupied with the alien that Will Smith has brought. And he eventually kind of has to like threaten somebody to go help his son, and they do. And then that's pretty much like the last thing you hear about that kid. And so it just seemed kind of this weird setup. They were kind of built, like they had this kid who had a disease. And so the only thing I can really figure out is the reasoning behind it was so that maybe that was part of the reason why his character decided to kind of sober up and be a fighter pilot and fight to kind of give...
Well, now that you just brought that up, I'm wondering if maybe the fact that they were talking about giving them a virus,
and
maybe they were originally planning to make it a real virus,
and they were like, kid's blood to...
They're like, we're just copying War of the Worlds now, technically. And then they're like, wait a minute, we're the day of the computer. Why don't we make it a computer virus?
There's this new thing called the internet. Maybe that's a very real possibility, I suppose. I wonder why they left it in then. You know what I mean? But that was just something that I noticed this time around that I never really thought of as a kid. I was like, why? What's the point of having that sick son?
Yeah.
Especially because now he sacrificed himself, and now he's got... I mean, his older brother can look after him, but now...
Right, so that was like one of the last things in the notes that I put down that I wanted to talk about was like his sacrifice, which I'll talk about after I talk about this first thing.
Okay.
Which is, so they got the virus in, And here's a question for you. I have my thoughts, but Bill Pullman shoots off the missile, and it hits the force
shield. Yep.
And then all of a sudden he's like, you got this classic 90s style stuff going on. He's like, I'm going to give it another shot.
Yeah.
And then
I'm not
fires.
giving up just yet.
One, why do you think he did that?
Well, I'm guessing he just assumed that maybe... I just don't think he was wanting to give up. I don't know if he necessarily thought, hey, maybe there's a delay or something and it's going to take a minute for the shields to go down. I think maybe he was just like, I think if he turned around and went home and like kind of faced defeat, he would always have that in the back of his mind, like, why didn't I try one more time?
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I got from it.
Gotcha.
Here's one nitpicky complaint about the film. You just made me think about it.
Okay.
Is the president, after he gives his big speech, starts going towards like a plane, and I think the general is like, "Where do you think you're going?" And he's like, "I'm a fighter pilot. It's where I belong." And the general's just like, "All right." And I feel like I was like, "There's no way that they would let the president go up in a plane and join the fight." You know what I mean?
I don't know. I was thinking about that too, but then I was like, there's not many people left on Earth, and they kind of need everything they got.
Every man they can. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm assuming that's the reason, but I just the general
big
just
reason
being like,
is,
all right.
Yeah,
I thought was a little cheesy.
Right. The big reason is they want to show that the president is a good guy and that he's going to go riding with his men into battle. And I thought I accepted that. I liked it. I liked that as his character was, I'm going to go fight.
I mean, obviously it's more interesting than him just being down at Area 51 listening to the stuff going on. Right. It makes him part of the action, which is good. I like the choice. I just thought it was unrealistic.
But my thing is that secondly, why do you think that the second missile went through and the first one didn't? You think it was a delay?
I just assumed that there was a delay, perhaps from when he uploads the virus in the mothership, and then for it to actually affect the baby ships, I guess you could call them.
I wonder if maybe the first missile, like when it hits, you see the green show up all around, and maybe that that would send off signals to computers where it had to adjust for that.
Oh, that could be.
And maybe at that moment, that's when it took in new data, which then brought in the virus. So if he hadn't fired the first one, maybe it never would have gone down.
That is very possible.
But then again, it wouldn't have mattered.
I like that explanation better than mine, to be honest with you.
Okay. Cool. But the last thing, which is also connected with that, is so after that happens, and maybe it deals with the virus and they can't communicate, but they knock down the shields, and then they're like fire, and they're firing missiles at them, and then they open up the bottom, and you have Randy Quaid's character go in and sacrifice himself and blow up the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't they have communicated to the other ships, hey,
close your doors.
Don't try to use your primary weapon.
Right.
They know that it blows up if they do it there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question, because the movie kind of makes it seem like just blowing up that one ship wins the war, essentially. But really, what really would have to happen is all the other fighter pilots in all the other countries and cities would have to at least shoot a missile into their primary weapon, not necessarily having to fly into it like Randy Quaid did.
Right. So here's the last section. So, regardless of that, they all end up being destroyed. And it seems to show that right after the bomb goes off in the mothership. Which, man, that was some sensitive spot to be able to blow up that big of a ship with a nuke.
I mean, it is a nuke, I guess, but still, yeah.
Yeah, the size of this thing is
That's
ridiculous.
very true. That's very, very true.
But so let's say that destroyed the other ones.
Right.
It wasn't that they were successful in hitting, the soft spot on all the ships, but that the destruction of the mothership just killed all the other ones. Because it almost looked like that's what they were showing with the way it was cut and stuff.
Right.
And I was like, if that happened, if that's the way this ended up being, and that they could have taken out all of the ships by blowing up the mothership, Randy Quaid's character didn't have to die.
Yeah, no.
And he sacrificed himself for no reason.
Because, the bomb and the mothership goes off, just like a matter of seconds after Randy Quaid?
It's very quick, but
yeah.
they didn't even have to go attack the ships with the jets.
Right.
They didn't even have to get the shields down. Let's just throw this nuke in the mothership, boom, and then they'll fall. So
that's interesting. I think I'm never going to look at the end of this movie the same way again.
It depends, because it could be that he helped and that all of around the world they were able to shoot the soft spots. And
right. But that goes back to your first question. Obviously we find out that if you shoot or have somebody sacrifice themselves at the primary weapon center of the ship or whatever, that it blows up the ship. So we have to communicate that information to the other cities and the other countries, and the other pilots. Is our communication going to be faster than the aliens? I guess that ship blows up, so they can't communicate unless it's the mothership. I
think the mothership would have some information on that.
So I guess it's just how quickly can the mothership get the information to the other ships, and how fast can we get the information? So be a race of info, and I don't know if we would win that race. So I guess those are plot holes, But
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, movie's ruined. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, surprisingly, this movie held up really well for me. I remember seeing it not too long ago, and thinking that it felt a little more dated than this time. It didn't feel as dated to me this time as it seems like it seemed the last time I watched it.
That's interesting because, like I said, I haven't seen this movie in many, many years, and this time around, it felt a little dated. I didn't mind the feeling dated just because I knew it was made 20 years ago. And
it still feels a little dated.
But to me, it felt a little long this time around.
Oh, really? Well, I kind of did watch it in sections. I didn't finish it all in one sitting.
It's the special edition, the regular version, it's only 9 minutes longer than the theatrical version, but it's a 2.5 hour movie. So it's a little long, but I enjoyed it, But I didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
Too.
I didn't enjoy it as much as 13-year-old me enjoyed it when I saw it in the theater.
Right, exactly. But it was still.
It's still a fun movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have too much more to say, but I did want to mention the score. I forgot how good the music was.
It's very 90s too.
It is very 90s, but I think that's why I like it.
Yeah.
I like 90s action movies, and
this movie came out in 1996.
Yeah.
This is when you say, give me an example of a 90s action movie. This is one that you could say Independence Day.
Yeah.
It's shot 90s style. The score is everything's you got Will Smith in it.
Yeah, the font, the opening credit fonts, and how the words kind of roll onto the screen. Sort of. I can't really describe it. That's very kind of 90s-ish, and I love it. Speed is maybe one of my all-time favorite action movies ever, and that's a great 90s action movie.
Oh yeah,
I love Speed. Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's a great 90s action movie.
I haven't seen that one.
You never seen Die Hard with a Vengeance?
No.
That's a good
I haven't
one.
seen any of the other Die Hard movies.
Just the first one?
Just the first one.
You're missing out. Not necessarily on the fourth and fifth one, but on 2 and 3, you're missing out. 2 is great. It's before 4 and 5 came out, everybody kind of said 2 is the worst. Now that 4 and 5 have come out, people are like, I love 2. Or at least that's how I look at it. But 2 is one of those movies that is a little dated, a little cheesy, but it's great. It's a great late 80s action movie.
See, I like that stuff. Well, it depends, but hopefully it's in a good way for me.
Yeah. I think you would like it.
Yeah. That makes me think it makes me think of, now this was intentional, but stuff like Escape from New York. Escape from LA.
Yeah.
Was actually the one that was a little bit more, I think, poking. It was like poking fun of itself, but it wasn't.
Right. Escape from New York, I think, took itself a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Escape from LA was a little bit more leaning towards comedy. And I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but I saw Escape from LA first, and they're so similar story-wise.
Yeah.
That I can understand why, especially if you're a really big fan of Escape from New York, why you wouldn't like Escape from LA when it came out. But for me personally, I saw Escape from LA first and just fell in love with it.
Oh, I love Escape from LA.
And I like good. It. Yeah. I have a poster of Escape from LA right here on my wall.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's the one with the basketball shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's so ridiculous.
Right, exactly. Yes. It's also got the hang gliding, and it's got the surfing the tsunami.
What? It's Escape from LA is so awesome. We need to do a podcast on that.
We will.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. I'm actually really disappointed because this upcoming Friday at a theater out here in Los Angeles, they're showing a double feature of Escape from New York and Escape from LA.
Oh,
and
wow.
I have to work, so I can't go see it. I'm so disappointed. I've never seen either of those on the big screen, and I would love to see those.
Why do we need to eat to live?
Right, exactly. If I seriously was thinking about calling in sick, but I need them. I can't do it. I can't afford to do it. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to miss it, which really is a bummer. But man, I would love to see Snake Plissken on the big screen.
That would be amazing. I remember Escape from LA being advertised and stuff when it was in theater. I'm like,
well, Escape from LA came out in '96, same year as Independence Day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I probably saw the trailer in front of it.
Probably.
I just remember him throwing up the can, like the trailer for it. And he's like throwing up the can, and then
he tells him, he goes, "Nobody draws until this hits the ground," and he throws it up and he shoots him. Yeah. And then the can hits the ground and he goes, "Draw."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. That trailer, we're getting off on a really big tangent here, but that trailer was awesome because it started off with like the old Welcome to the Theater type music and font and everything.
Oh, really?
It even said welcome. Yeah, look it up on YouTube. It's like the trailer for Escape from LA starts off and it's like Welcome to the Theater, and then it goes into, it's like, I forget what exact, no talking, blah 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 blah, and then it says no red meat, no freedom of religion, and like it goes into all that stuff, and then it cuts to Snake Plissken and he goes, "Your rules are really beginning to annoy me," and then he kind of goes into the trailer. And so I remember I had a friend who said he saw that trailer in the theater, and when it started he was like, "Oh man, no trailers," and he thought it was he actually thought it was like the theater thing, and then when it got to no red meat he was like, "What?" Like, he said it really confused him, and then obviously
I think I do remember that trailer now, like that beginning part.
Mm-hmm.
I like I remember though thinking that trailer looked, I thought it looked really stupid.
Well, if you don't have, and it's very possible I thought the same thing. I mean, if you don't know who Snake Plissken is, you don't know Escape from New York, you'd see it and be like, this looks stupid. And so I don't remember how I ended up eventually renting Escape from LA and watching it. But I don't know if it was on a recommendation or something or what. But I used to work at Blockbuster, so I got free rentals, and this was probably back in 2001 or 2002. And I remember renting it, taking it home, watching it, and immediately falling in love with it.
Yeah. You have to take away from the get-go, which, it's not too hard to do because they throw it. They kind of throw this stuff at you with it. But Snake Plissken is basically a Rambo. He's going to pull off ridiculous stunts. Kind of guy.
He's a very extraordinary character. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you take that, you got to take it from the beginning. Then the movie is just magnificent. Right.
And especially with Escape from LA, you really can't take it seriously.
Right.
I I feel like in Escape from New York, you can kind of take it seriously, even though that movie also has some ridiculous stuff in it.
Right.
But because it kind of takes itself seriously, you can kind of go with it. But with Escape from L.A., you really have to not take it seriously.
Yeah.
And you'll just really enjoy it if you can. The effects in that movie are pretty dated, too. But you can really...
But it probably will work well with the style of movie.
Right, exactly. And I think it does. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just talking about it really makes me want to watch it now. So
I agree, actually.
Might have to pop in the Blu-ray or something. But
yeah.
But yeah. So back to Independence Day. Well, I don't have anything else. I don't think. Do you have anything else you want to?
I think I'm done with Independence Day.
So let's talk about a rating.
Okay.
You do the 5-star rating that Netflix kind of utilizes.
Yeah.
I do the letter grades. I think for me, 13-year-old me probably would have given this movie an A+, but I think I'm going to give it... I'm still going pretty high with it. I'm going to give it a B+. I think it is a very enjoyable 90s action film, like we talked about.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same and given it 5 stars back in the day. But I'd say 4 stars fits pretty well.
Yeah.
With me. So, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars.
Very nice. We'd love to know what you think about Independence Day. You can leave us a comment at www.cinemaheroes.com. You can comment on Facebook, facebook.com/SM and SM podcast. Or you can throw us a line on Twitter at Cinema Heroes. I think that about wraps it up for this episode. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Don Pelzel.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading.